Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments right now so that I may answer your questions. So while your questions come in, I'm going to formally introduce myself. I am U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I help clients to get their green card and status in the United States. I'm also here every day. I close out the night with you all to answer your questions. And so here I am. Why not take advantage of a U.S. immigration attorney being here to answer your questions? So if you want to also learn about me as a U.S. immigration attorney, you want to schedule a consultation, you want to read up about the firm, you can go to the link in my bio. It will take you to the website where you will see the contact information. You will see a contact form that you can complete if that's more convenient for you. And you can read up about me as the attorney. I usually come with a topic. And so today I'm going to be talking about the green card process. What does that process look like? So from green card to U.S. citizenship, what does that entire process look like? So I notice sometimes I'll get questions that says, I am here on a visitor's visa. How can I apply for citizenship? And so this is where it's very important to understand the path to citizenship, U.S. citizenship. There is a difference between a green card holder and then a U.S. citizen. So with green card holders, they have a sort of temporary permission to live in the United States, as long as they continue to apply to renew their permanent residence and they do qualify, they can stay in the U.S. However, as a U.S. citizen, you have a right to live in the United States. You have all the rights and privileges of a U.S. citizen, for example, the right to vote, which only belongs to a U.S. citizen. And as a U.S. citizen, you do not face the risk of deportation. So it's very important to understand the differences. Now, in order to become a U.S. citizen, you have to first become a green card holder. Thank you so much for those roses. I really appreciate that. Thank you for that. Now, let's talk about that. Who qualifies for U.S. citizenship? So who qualifies? So let me remind you, I'm here to answer immigration questions only, immigration related questions. So go ahead and put your immigration related questions in the comments. So the fastest way to become a citizen from Canada. So if you're from Canada and you are moving to the United States, you still first have to become a green card holder, a permanent resident. And in order to become a permanent resident, you still have to qualify in some way. You have to qualify through an employer. You have to qualify through a relative who qualifies to apply for you. Or you could qualify if you hold a humanitarian visa or status, such as asylum, a TU visa, or you could apply for the diversity lottery, which is basically the lottery for the green card. So those are some possible paths towards permanent residence. So under employment, there are different ways and it just depends on your qualifications, the need of the employer, even the needs of the nation, the country. There is what's called first the employer who decides to sponsor you. It depends on the process. There are processes where you can petition on your own in an employment base. And those are cases where you have reached the top of your career, you are talented, you have reached the top of your education, and you have skills that are valuable to the country, and you can show that you are at the top of your field. You're an expert in your field, that you're well known in the country, nationally and or internationally. You've received awards and so forth. So that is that is a way to self-petition. Now, in addition to that, you also have petitions where the employer files for you. Now, when the employer files for you, you can, the employer files for you, first, there's what's called the labor certification process, and that is the most tedious part of the employment process. And I see some questions here, so I'm going to go ahead and answer. How does the lottery for green card work? So the lottery, now first you have to go to the Department of State. They have a website where you can go and register. I believe they open it up around every October. So what you can do is go to the Department of State's website and type in the search bar diversity lottery, and the page will come up that talks about it and tells you what you need to do. My fiance is from Canada and wants to move here. Can he stay here while in process? So Shalina, if you're a US citizen, you could petition for your fiance to come on a 90-day visa. If he comes on a 90-day visa, you will be obligated to get married within the 90 days and then adjust status. So once you start to adjust status, he can stay in the United States. So can you say the name of the website again? So it's the Department of State's website. So Dume Durozine. So let me see what your question. Okay, so here it is. So can Haitians start filing TPS? I heard USCIS published the date today. Is it true? So I will have to go and check. I have not seen anything regarding Haitians being able to apply. I did see notifications for other countries, but I have to take a closer look to see if they have finally opened up the application process for Haitian TPS applicants. Ma'am, my husband had a marriage petition denied with ex-wife. Now we're going to petition new marriage. So Manny Devotee, it's very important for you to get legal advice because first we'd have to get to the root of the denial. We would have to figure out what caused the denial and whether it can affect the petition in the new marriage. I can't stress how important it is for you to get legal advice. You can always call the office, schedule a consultation, and we can go through your process. So Dume Durozine, you are welcome. And you'll definitely get that announcement from me should I learn that it is finally time to apply. Shalina, you're welcome. So go ahead, call 561-405-4889, schedule a consultation, and let's talk more in detail. If the denial, it may be that the denial was because of a technical reason, maybe it was abandoned by the previous spouse. In a case like that, it may not have an impact on the next application. However, are there more serious accusations involved? Did they deny it because they suspected marriage fraud? Did they charge your spouse with marriage fraud? These are the important questions that we would have to get to the root of. Now, you can go to the link in my bio to go ahead and schedule the consultation. The scheduling coordinator is available up until 11 p.m. tonight. So now when you have the free time, you're off after the live, you can go ahead, give her a call, schedule a consultation. What happens after NVC sends a case number? They usually send you the case number as well as with the ability to log in to the account or be able to check on your status. And that just means that they've received it. And then they're going to send you correspondence when they're ready to start processing your application. How long is the K1 visa process usually? So right now you should prepare for at least a year to 18 months. So it's a little shorter than a spouse visa, but not by much. So Shalina, I am looking forward to hearing from you. So a great question so far. This is exactly why I'm here. I'm here to answer questions like this. So go ahead and keep putting those questions in the comments so that I may answer. So will applicant be sent back after applying for marriage-based green card after being without status? So Samantha first. It really depends on the situation, right? So if they were denied the green card application, what happened? So it's a possibility that they could be placed into removal proceedings, but it all depends. And right now, you know, they are changing the deportation policies. They're not just grabbing any and everybody and putting them in deportation proceedings. So that has slowed substantially. So it may not be something that you have to worry about unless, of course, your spouse will be at the top of their priority list. So, for example, they're wanted for crime or some kind of high priority deportation issue. But the most important thing you can do, Samantha, is get legal advice. Make sure you understand what the implications are in your case. So I married a Jamaican, can he come right away? So Carmel, I'm glad that you asked this question, and unfortunately not. So I'm a federal employee going to marry a Jamaican in Jamaica. So Carmel, no, there is a process. So even though you're a federal employee, it still doesn't mean that your process is going to go faster. There is a process that you have to go through. And it is a tedious application process that could last 18 months to 24 months. And so you should get legal advice. So if you're going to get married, get legal advice about the process. Make sure you're fully equipped and ready for this process. I do find that some people do have this misconception that if they marry someone, a foreigner, that the foreigner can just come back on a quick visa or just fly back with them. And that is not the case for countries like Jamaica, where they need a visa to come, and sometimes it's very difficult to get a visa. So Carmel, definitely schedule a consultation. Call 561-405-4889. Get in touch with the office, schedule a consultation where you can get personalized legal advice about the process. Hi there, Mariam. It's nice to see you. I had a denied waiver in 2019. I didn't do anything after. Do you think my filing case is still open? So if you have a denial, it may not be open unless they proactively reopened your case. But if circumstances have changed, or if there was some error in the application and you want to reapply, you should definitely explore that option. So keep that in mind. But they usually too, after they deny, you have 30 days to appeal. If you don't appeal within that time, they close the case. So very important you understand that, and you'll have to reapply. Mariama, go ahead, put your questions in the comments. That's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to answer your immigration questions. So don't hesitate, just put those questions in, and as your questions are coming in, I will answer. Now, I do have situations where I miss questions or the question doesn't come across. If that's the case, use the Q&A option if you notice that I somehow am not seeing your question. After your biometrics, how long it takes for the citizenship exam. So right now, I wouldn't be able to tell you how long from the biometrics to the interview, but I can tell you the average time right now is 6 months, but it can go as long as a year. My cases are taking about 6 months. Reapply for waiver or reapply for filing. So it depends, Labella. It depends on what happened to the petition. So has the petition been denied as well? Is the petition still pending? So it depends. If the petition is still open, you could so if we're talking about the I-601, the unlawful presence waiver, I'm assuming you're talking about that. If it's still open, the petition, or if it's still at the National Visa Center, there is a possibility that you could still reapply for the waiver. However, if everything is closed, then that may require you to reapply for everything, and it may make more sense to reapply for everything. So La Bella, that boutique, that's where it's very important to get legal advice, because I can only give general information here, and it's very I wouldn't be able to give you specific information until I fully evaluate what happened in your case. Then I can tell you what the options could be. How long does a fiancé visa take to process? So right now you're looking at about 12 months to 18 months. So regarding Canadian migration, so Flex Project, I don't know if you're talking about a Canadian coming to the US, but I'm not a Canadian immigration attorney. I'm only a US immigration attorney. Keep those questions coming, because I am here to answer your US immigration related questions. So do it fast. Keep those questions coming so that I can keep the answers flowing. How long after you get married can you start applying for the green card? So there is no time limit on when you can start applying. You can start applying as soon as you're married and you qualify in every way. But keep in mind that if you're concerned about specific issues, you want to make sure to get legal advice. Fifi 1988, thanks for sharing the live. You want to make sure that you get legal advice, because there may be something in your background or in your spouse's background that could affect the application process that you would want to get fully briefed on. But generally speaking, as long as there are no concerns, you can usually apply right after. And I've had cases where I apply right after. I help my clients apply right after they get married. And they get approved, and they've gotten approved, no problem. It's just that if you have any question, any issues. So Abigail, I am a U.S. immigration attorney. So I went to law school and I got my law degree, and then I passed the bar in 2 states. So I am fully qualified to represent my clients. I also represent my clients in all 50 states. As a U.S. immigration attorney, I can do that. I have clients all over the United States as well as the globe. Can I file for my son with a conditional green card? Yes, you can, Keisha. You can go ahead and start filing for your son. So conditional green card holders can start the filing process with for their relatives. My father was filing for me, had to do a waiver. Waiver was denied. If I get married, will I still have? So if you needed a waiver with your father, it may very well be that you're going to need a waiver with your spouse. Okay, so the qualifications to apply for green card. So with the qualifications for the green card, it all depends. So it depends on who you're applying through. Spouses of U.S. citizens. So let me see, Abigail, what was your first question? How long after you get married? So if you are married to a U.S. citizen and you came into the country with a visa, for example, a visitor's visa, then it's likely that the spouse of a U.S. citizen who came in with a visa can adjust status. There are specific visas, though, that don't allow for that, such as the crewman's visa. And also, if you came in on a J1 and it has a 2-year foreign residency requirement, you have to be careful with those. But generally speaking, if you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen and you came in with a permission, you are paroled, or you came in with permission, then it's likely you'll be able to adjust status. What is the conditional green card? Kashmeen, the conditional green card is a 2-year green card. So any individual who has been married for less than 2 years to the spouse that's sponsoring them, they will get a 2-year green card and have to renew it. And it's kind of like a probationary period to make sure that it is a real marriage. And then they can renew it in a year and 9 months and go on to get their 10-year green card. So my friend who is a Jamaican currently has a felony charge. Can he marry a citizen or a green card holder? So he could, but then it depends on what the felony charge is, right? And the felony charge with some felonies, it turns into what's called an aggravated felony. Once you have an aggravated felony, then it's going to be, there's no waiver for that. There's no waiver. You're inadmissible to come to the United States. And so even being married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder may not be able to help them. Now, if they have a felony and it is a kind of criminal charge that he can apply for, he or she, I think it's, so your friend, he can be, it's a type of criminal issue that he can get a waiver for. Then it's possible, but that's very complex. I always say here, whenever it comes on to criminal issues, very important that you get legal advice, because criminal issues, it really differs from case to case, and it's very fact based. So you have to make sure that you get legal advice. Can't stress that enough, because that legal advice is going to give you the guidance you need to determine your options, whether there are any solutions and how to approach everything, whether you can submit an application. So, okay, regarding U.S. immigration, how to get citizenship. Okay, so when you get citizenship, you have to become a green card holder first. So you have to qualify to get the green card. Once you get the green card, if you've gotten it through a U.S. citizen or you have a U.S. citizen spouse, it's 3 years. If you have got it through family or employment or any other means, it's a 5 years wait while you have your green card, and then you can apply for citizenship. If my mother filed for me, what's the timeline? So Flex Project, what is your age and what is your mother's status? And are you married? What did you say about careful with J1, other visas? You're like disconnected for a bit. So if you come in on a J1 and it has a 2-year foreign residency requirement, then it means that you're required to go back to your country for 2 years before you can adjust status to another type of status in the United States. Now, there are waivers available to get around that, but it does take a legal consultation to determine your options. Also, the crewman's visa. If you came in on a crewman's visa, meaning, so usually this is for individuals working on airlines and ships. If you came in, you're coming through the United States because you worked on an airline or a ship, and you overstay that crewman's visa, they don't qualify for adjustment of status, and that's where you need to evaluate your options and don't overstay. How long does it take to get green card after fingerprint? Please respond. So after, I can't tell you because right now everything is a bit erratic. I've heard of biometrics appointments being scheduled 4 months, 6 months after filing. That did not used to be the case pre-COVID. So right now what I can tell you is that the green card process, if you're adjusting status in the United States as the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, you could be looking at about 18 months to 24 months. However, if you qualify through a family member, it depends on who you qualify, who's applying for you, because the green card process can go from 18 months to years, even decades. So it depends on who's applying for you. Do children go in for green card interviews if they're adjusting status with parent? So sometimes they waive that. Now, if they're adjusting the status with a parent, it depends. So usually, you could take the child in, of course, because they're part of the application. But if a parent is sponsoring the child, sometimes they waive the interview if they have enough evidence to show that there is that parent relationship. If I apply for H-2B work program, will I still need a waiver? La Bella Boutique, if you need a waiver For the green card, chances are you're going to need the waiver. There is some admissibility issue. So if you need it for the green card, chances are there is some complication where you would need some kind of permission to come back. So that's where La Bella's boutique, very important to get legal advice. Okay, so she's 37 and she's a citizen. So how old are you, Flex Project? Because if you're over 21, then it's going to take about 6 to 7 years. If you're over 21 and unmarried, if you're married, it's taken 12 years. If you're under 21 and unmarried, you're looking at about an 18-month process. Antonella Andrews, thanks for the follow. Can I adjust status with expired I-94 through marriage-based green card? So it depends on who you're married to, Samantha. If it's a U.S. citizen, then there is that, spouses of U.S. citizens can adjust status in the United States, even if they have overstayed their visa. But always best to get legal advice, because the information here I'm giving you is general. So you want to make sure that you get personal legal advice so you don't get into trouble along the way. Hi, how do I get back my visitor's visa after it's been revoked? So it may be difficult. It just depends on what is going on. So Abigail, you're welcome. I'm glad I could answer your question. So it depends on why it was revoked. If it was for a severe immigration violation, then your chances are slimmer that you will get a visitor's visa back. You may have to jump through hoops, or it may even be next to impossible to get a visitor's visa. So it all depends. If it was something that they said that they were canceling it without prejudice, that could indicate you have a chance. But keep in mind, if once they've revoked it, they have on record that you have committed some sort of violation, or they suspect that you have. So you would have to overcome at least the suspicion of the officer. Could a permanent resident send for their spouse? If so, what's the time? So great question. Yes, they can. Green card holders can apply for their spouse. And actually, guess what? I did post a video about that. And strangely enough, they pulled the video down and said I was promoting illegal activities. But that is exactly what I want you to know in that video that they pulled down on TikTok, that permanent residents can file for their spouse, and a lot of people think they have to be citizens. Now, the process right now is taking about 18 to 24 months for permanent residents to file for their spouse. It isn't always that way. So you have to make sure that if you're going to do it, now is the time, and get legal advice before you apply. Make sure you understand the process, what you need to do. If your spouse is in the United States and without status, it's going to be a little more complex, and you want to make sure that you know what you're in for. But yes, green card holders can, and right now there's no wait list to get an immigrant visa number, which means that when you apply, they continue to process it right through to the interview. There's no wait time. Right now, that could change at any time. Okay, so Flex Project, you're 37. So in that case, you're looking at 6 to 7 years. So I applied for Daca and was to do fingerprints. What am I supposed to do now? So if you applied, I'm so sorry that this has happened, Debbie. I know it must be frustrating. At this time, it's a waiting game. Now, if you have already had DACA and you're renewing your application, then that means that you should be fine to go through. Now, they have sent out notices canceling fingerprints. So you check to see if it has been canceled, check on the status of your case. There is a difference between filing an initial application, meaning you're a brand new applicant, you've never had DACA before, and renewing. Renewals are still going forward. The new applications are being held. They're not being processed, and so fingerprinting is being fingerprint appointments are being canceled. But this is not an indication that you shouldn't go to your fingerprinting appointment. You need to make sure you follow up with them to understand what you need to do next. Also, go to the uscis.gov's website. They're also posting information about what to do. Can a green card holder file for their younger sibling? No, so green card holders can't file for their sibling. I never been there before. So La Bella's Boutique, I'm not sure what where that is. I would love to live in the USA, but I only have a visitor's visa. So yeah, definitely you'd have to qualify in some way to live in the US, either through employment, through a family member. So definitely there are so many options that I could spend hours talking about. So if you have any ideas about, any questions you want to ask to get some ideas about how you could qualify, definitely feel free to ask. Which state am I in? I'm in Florida. So I'm in Boca Raton, Florida. However, keep in mind I represent clients all over the country. I'm not limited by borders, and I'm not limited by countries. So I can represent anybody who wants to come to the US. I can represent them all over the globe, and I do. And I can represent clients anywhere in all 50 states. So Debbie, so first time filing. So right now as things are, they're likely going to cancel, but check yourself, make sure you verify, because the information I'm giving you is general. And just hang tight. So they're not saying that they're not accepting, but they're just not processing. How many years of tax returns do you need to file for citizenship if you are an LPR? So you should gather your 5 years worth of tax returns. If you're doing it through marriage, through a U.S. citizen marriage, a marriage to a U.S. citizen, it's going to be 3 years. I have a master's in public administration and would like to live and work in the USA. So Empress born, the most common thing to do is find an employer who's willing to make that investment and sponsor you. So if you're in the United States and you're looking at recruiters, or recruiters are looking at you and employers are looking at you, that is something that you could think about as well. So keep those questions coming. So far, these have been excellent questions, and I am still here to answer your questions. So go ahead, while I'm here, take advantage of me, a U.S. immigration attorney, being here to answer your questions. I always like to show up every day with very few exceptions to answer your questions and close out the night with you, spend some time with you. And so here I am. Now, if you are sitting here, you've asked a question, or you just know that you need personal legal advice, there is a scheduling coordinator who's available right now to take your call and schedule your consultation. You can also go to the link in my bio where you can, when you go to the website, you can complete the contact form. It's really easy and convenient, and the scheduling coordinator will get back to you. Or you can call the number directly. It's a 24/7 number. They take your name, your information, and then they get back to you on the next business day. Good night. If they canceled your visitor's visa upon entry, stamped it 222G, and was allowed in still. So, they canceled your visitor's visa. I would need to understand what happened here, what occurred, and why is it. Usually I've heard scenarios where they turn you back. And sometimes if you do state a reason that you need, a compelling reason, like you fear persecution in your country, they do allow you to stay, but they refer it to either immigration court, or they refer you to apply for asylum. So, this is a case where you definitely need legal advice. My aunt, who is a citizen of the USA, she applied for my parents. How long would they take to get through? So right now it's taking, depends on where you are. Mexico, it's taking 20 years. In the Caribbean, it's taking 14 years. In the Philippines, I believe it's taking 19 years. And in India, it's taking about 15 years. So it depends on where you're from, but that unfortunately it takes impossibly long. Unfortunately. So yep, so Guyanese you're looking at 14 years. A 14-year process. So great questions so far. Now put those questions in the comments, and if you would like personal legal advice, go ahead, call, schedule a consultation. Let's start. You walk out of that consultation knowing your options, knowing how you need to approach the situation, avoiding mistakes, and with me as your attorney if you need it. So it is value filled, and it is a session that is so important, especially if you are about to apply, because then you'll know if it's the process you're going to do is right for you and how you should approach it. Permanent resident filed for child 2 years now, didn't get any response, 7 years old now and 19. What to do? So if you file, check on the status of your case. You can check on the status of your case at the National Visa Center. You can submit an inquiry, or you can, if it's still at the USCIS, you can submit a case status check there. So check on the status first, and then determine from there if you need to call them or if you need further legal advice. What are some things one should consider before getting married to a U.S. citizen? As in things that can affect your chances of getting a green card. So if you are, the first is you shouldn't marry a citizen just to get the green card, because that's illegal, it's not permitted, and that is a sure way to get a marriage fraud determination, which will have devastating consequences because you have forever bar on your getting a green card. Now, outside of that, it's a real relationship. You just want to make sure that while you're in the relationship, you're conscious of the evidence that you gather. Make sure that you're doing everything to show that you have a bona fide marriage. Make sure you're gathering the evidence necessary to prove that your marriage is real. That's one of the most important aspects, if not the most important aspect of this process. How do I go about setting up an appointment? So great question. You can call the number. My number is plastered all over my videos. It's 561-405-4889. There are scheduling coordinators who are available Monday to Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. So plenty of time to call and schedule. Also, the numbers are 24/7. So that means that you could call 3 in the morning and leave your information, and a scheduling coordinator will get back to you first thing the next day. Or, it depends on how many calls they have to follow up on. These are ways. Also, if you go to the link in my bio and you go to the website, there's a contact form on every page. You can simply fill out the contact form and a scheduling coordinator will call you back. So many different ways to get in touch to schedule that consultation. Michelle Clark. So I'm from Trinidad. And that's okay. We offer video and phone consultations for those who don't live close by, because many of my clients live all over the country, and I still work with them and help them. My brother's a green card holder. How long would it take if he applied for my parents? So green card holders can't apply for parents. Your brother would have to become a U.S. citizen first and then apply for your parents. Now, once he became a U.S. citizen and applied for your parents, then that process is taking about 18 to 24 months right now. How long does a citizen spouse take to get through? So the spouse of a U.S. citizen, it could take anywhere. I would say the average is 1.5 years, so 18 months. However, keep in mind, it could be shorter if you're lucky, and it could be longer if you're not so lucky. My advice to you is make sure that you start out with a strong application and a complete application. Because if you don't submit a complete application, for example, I've heard, some individuals say, I just filed the application quickly because I wanted to get it out of the way, and then I just figured I would send the rest of the evidence later, and it backfires because they start to get requests for evidence, even denials. They go to the interview, and because all the evidence isn't there, the officer becomes skeptical that the marriage is even real, and they become suspicious that it's a fake marriage, which creates a whole other set of issues. And so you want to make sure that first you get legal advice, make sure you're on the right track. Second, you make sure that you're in the position where you put an excellent application together. Because I have found that once you submit a complete application, then it leads to a smoother process, and as a result, a faster process. So Devolicious, thanks so much for sharing the live. I definitely appreciate that. So while I'm here, I will be here for just a few more minutes. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments. I came on talking about, and keep putting your questions in while I'm talking, and I will stop talking to prioritize your questions. But I was talking about the ways, the journey from a green card to a citizen. So in order to become a U.S. citizen, you first have to get a permanent residence, and to become a green card holder. And to do that, you have to qualify through some way. So you have to qualify through an employer. You have to qualify through a relative, which we talked about some of those. So a green card holder or a U.S. citizen parent or spouse, for example. And some of these processes do take years. Some of them take a year. So the processing times vary. And that means that the number of years it takes to get to the green card will vary as well, depending on who you're applying through or how you're applying. But these are the ways that you can. You have to go get the green card first and then become a citizen. So my daughter's social security, so my granddaughter. So Claudia, I didn't see the rest of your question, so go ahead and while I'm here, you can hurry up and try to put the rest of your question in so I can answer. So also, if you have a T, a U visa, this is for victims of crime, trafficking or crime, or you have asylum. After a year of having asylum, you can adjust status to a green card holder, and then after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. As a T visa holder, you can adjust status after 3 years. As a U visa, you can adjust status after 3 years of having the U visa. And then that ultimately offers a path to U.S. citizenship. Then there's that little known way. If you don't have any of these, you don't have relatives, you don't have an employer, you don't have a TU or a visa or asylum. If you have no ties, there's the lottery for the green card. If you go to the Department of State's website, you just type in the search bar diversity lottery. It's going to bring up the page where you can see that every year they open up the page for you to register. And if your number is selected, then you have a chance at over the next year of becoming a green card holder. So that is one way that you can get lucky and actually do it on your own. I hear many people ask, how can I get the green card without getting married? That is one possible way. Actually, you don't need one individual to help you in that case. As long as you, of course, qualify in every other way, you don't have anything in your background that would prevent you from becoming a green card holder through the lottery, that is an option you should explore. So my daughter is a U.S. citizen. Can she file for me and her brother as we live in Trinidad, and when? So if your daughter is a U.S. citizen and she's 21 and up, she can definitely file for the both of you. However, keep in mind for you as the parent, she can file for you as long as she's 21 and up. Now, for her brother, even though she can file for him as long as she's 21 and up, it is taking 12 years now. 14 years for that process to go through. So it will be longer. In addition to that, when a U.S. citizen, son or daughter, is sponsoring a parent, the parent cannot bring along their dependents. So that is a huge hole in the immigration, because some parents still have minor children that they can't leave behind. And so I find that is a real problem. but unfortunately that would be the case. So what you'd have to do is once you become a green card holder through your U.S. citizen daughter, you'd have to sponsor your minor child. So haven't heard about biometrics appointment, case received August 6, 2020. So that's a long time. And yes, biometrics appointments are taking forever right now. I've heard them going months. This is, I think, the longest I've heard. So check on your case. Make sure that they're not waiting for anything on your end. So thanks everyone for tuning in, for asking your questions. These have all been great questions. So I have one more question here. My granddaughter Boyer certificate and social security card lost. How can she get it back? Oh, so her birth certificate. And so you'll have to go to the social security department. So the social security administration. And the birth certificate, it depends on what state, but you'd have to order it through the registry that deals with birth certificates. My 17-year-old son wants to apply for residence through aunts who is a citizen of the U.S. So aunts can't sponsor nephews, unfortunately. How long should I wait, you think? So I didn't see your other question. So you're married to a USC. So generally speaking, there is no wait time to file your papers, user 4605. But if there are any concerns that you want to talk about, because the information here I'm giving you is general, schedule a consultation. I can't stress how much it is worth to understand the process and to make sure that you ask an attorney from a strategic point of view whether it's a good idea to file right after you get married. Just did my medical I-693 on February. Okay, so if you did it in February, then it is valid for a number. I would have to check how long it's valid for. I usually make my clients do it right before the interview because at that point, you're not at risk for it expiring and, it's fine. So, that is my tip of the day. I don't usually advise them to do it until the interview, right before the interview. All right, Summer CJ, thanks for the follow, and thanks those of you who followed me, shared the live, asked your great questions. I really appreciate. So they send me RFE for that. So if they don't see it on file, then they will send the RFE. But as long as in the RFE they're not saying send it right away, it would be you could take it to the interview with you. So yes, I do get the RFE myself when I'm with clients, but if you read it, you will realize that they say, just make sure you get it done. However, if your specific RFE is saying, get it to us right away, you should definitely follow whatever instructions are in the RFE. So user 4605, you're welcome. I'm glad I could answer your questions. Claudia, you're welcome as well. And thanks so much for your great questions. These were perfect questions. And I will be back tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow to answer your questions again. So if you're not following me, follow me so that you can hop on with me and ask your immigration related questions. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.